October 2018, the second African Learning Institute on Local and Indigenous Knowledges for Community Resilience took place in and around Meru, Kenya. The Learning Institute, co-hosted by the Institute for Culture and Ecology, built on the work of grassroots organizations and stewards of biocultural diversity across the African continent. The Learning Institute was organized by the Campus Africa Network for Endogenous Development, Institute for Culture and Ecology, and the Code International Institute. Funding was provided by the Christensen Fund and other donors. In this context, participants from 7 countries and 12 collaborating organizations share their expectations, experiences, and how they will use knowledge acquired in strengthening their approaches to enhancing community resilience.
I've been able to learn many things on indigenous knowledge, which we assumed, but it's very helpful. Things on gender too, how probably women, how we take women, how other communities value women, and all that. And we have been able to share those stories, and even with the stories we can be able to tell it's not happening. Most of the things are not happening only in our country. Even in other countries, they have some of the challenges we share with them and all that. And with that, we have been able to know now what's the next step I can do, what can I do with this, and at least we have an idea apart from the ones we came with.
Along the training, I learned to appreciate more that the essence of community development is not really coming with a set of interventions to a community which is guided or dictated by certain donors with whom we are quite reliant on donor funding, but community development is considering also the essence of leaving a real legacy to the community that would also make them more sustainable. So now I understand that in that essence, the concept of indigenous development stems from that, because it considers who they are, what they are, and the indigenous knowledge of that community, and topping up with appropriate external knowledge for them to develop as a whole and be able to be more community reliant.
In the last days we spent time here on the training, we have got sufficient knowledge about the indigenous development, about the great turn, what we should have to give consideration during our development interventions, and most importantly, what resilience is about. In order to achieve or address the concept of resilience in the community where we are serving, the knowledge of our ancestors and the previous peoples are a very significant and prominent factor, so that we are, even in the work we are working as a gender in the organization, to bring equity between the male and the female.
It is a whole a very big knowledge. It is a big knowledge that is within the communities. It's a knowledge that's cross-cutting from continents to continents, from communities to communities. It is so much to be learned, but so little time. But within this time, I have managed to learn from the colleagues who came from different continents, from Zimbabwe, from Ghana, from Canada, from Kenya, Tanzania, Uganda, Ethiopia.
I was very excited and I was very elated to learn that we share the same problems, whether it's Southern Africa, whether it's Eastern Africa, whether it's Central Africa, and even it's Europe, Canada. Just imagine we have indigenous people from Canada sharing with us the same problems we are facing as indigenous communities, the same threats we have as indigenous communities, the same governance issues which are affecting us in Africa are the same governance issues affecting indigenous communities and the First Nations in Canada.
Now I have learned a lot of strategies that I'm going to use back at home, and for community resiliency also. And then the good bit again I learned was about devolution, and also its opportunities, how to work very closely with politicians will always help, because some of the causes requires policy changes, and for policy to be changed, you need to have a good relation with the policy makers.
In a nutshell, what this program has been for me is it has been all about appreciating, addressing problems, addressing challenges, building up hope from appreciating what we have from within, what we see from one another, and what is there in our community.
Special guests from Indigenous First Nations in Canada shared and learned unique insights, knowledge, and approaches that values both Western science and Indigenous science.
I was able to learn from different models, different things that our communities are doing, and as well as getting different examples from what the African culture and African communities here are doing, but also was able to learn because I do have Western education as well, and how do we interface both the Western education and as well as the Indigenous knowledge. So that really inspired me to further look into that topic and further look into how can I bring that back home, as well as with the endogenous development. First time ever hearing about endogenous development. However, I know that we've been doing it for quite some time back home. We just never really had a name to it.
People are beautiful, their knowledge is beautiful, their traditions and customs are a lot like ours. I'm an Aboriginal woman from Canada, I'm a Mi'kmaq, and I just find it so empowering to see what you do here. Also, I've learned so much when we went to the community and we saw to me, one of the things that I'm going to use coming home is the tabletop banking.
Participants also got the chance to visit, stay, and interact with Meru community people. It was merry time as participants from Canada and Africa sang and danced to the community's welcoming songs. Participants also attended a traditional food festival organized by the Institute for Culture and Ecology. Also in attendance were the Institute for Culture and Ecology farmers and group representatives. The festival was characterized by traditional food, dishes, music, and dancing. Facilitators said they were very excited by taking the course to East Africa, and also how key development issues were discussed and embraced by the participants.
What I liked most is from the action plans that we were learning from people, is how they are eagerly going to integrate gender into their programs on indigenous knowledges. Because of late, when we are dealing with culture, people didn't like to talk about gender much. But from this workshop and the discussions that I've been having with women and men, and even looking at their plans, I'm very happy. And I'm very happy to know, and we know we will make a follow-up to see how they're actually integrating gender into their work. And also, this has been quite an interesting one because we're dealing with people who are working with pastoralist communities, and the diversity that was within the discussion was quite amazing. We also learned a lot as a facilitator because there was enough ground for people to share their different experiences, and also to share the fears that they have when they get back to their work, or now they are actually going to integrate gender into their work. So I'm very impressed, and so I'm also eager to know through follow-ups how they are actually working, so that we can actually improve in our next sessions on how we can try to integrate more of gender concepts in our trainings.
This is the second one, and mostly for East Africa. But this particular one is exciting because this time we're focusing, while we focus on agro-pastoralists in the West Africa training, this we're focusing on pastoralists, particularly from Eastern Africa. And my expectation has been that there'll be new learning from the pastoralists, and to see talking about building resilience. How do you build resilience communities within the pastoral communities? So far, I've not been disappointed. I've learned a lot. There's been a lot of information, a lot of knowledge about pastoralists and their communities and the way of life. And I think that will add on to the whole project of trying to see how we can build resilient communities by encouraging communities to identify, recognize that they have resources, they have their own knowledge, their own indigenous knowledge, which is important knowledge, and to use that to build their own resilience. So I'm very happy about this course.
Very great moment for many of us, especially now that we're concluding our resilience workshop on indigenous knowledge. This workshop has been possible because of many people, many organizations, not to mention a few maybe. Not to forget Christensen Fund that supported us with the seed money to undertake this kind of workshop for many organizations in Kenya, especially women and men who are working in communities that are impacting on resilience and the issues of climate change, issues of food security, environment, and all that. I won't forget our main facilitators, David, Frencha, Banguri, and Aris Dovu. All they have put together a very great work for us to ensure that this curriculum is well worked on and developed and has impact on the participants. I will not forget Compass, one day, and also our EYES as an organization that we are teamed up together to put up this kind of work. And also we remember our participants who are drawn from various organizations from Zimbabwe, Ghana, Uganda, Tanzania, Ethiopia, and also Kenya. We have a great participation from the Great Rift Valley in Kenya and Ethiopia. We have quite a number of women and men who are participating in this workshop, especially if you look at the way they are. We have young men, young women, we have middle-aged and slightly old women. So we actually appreciate the kind of presentation we have. I will not forget our communities in Meru, especially those men and women who hosted our participants during our field work. They did a great job to ensure that every participant was happy, every participant had an opportunity to learn from their work, and this has been great work too. To me, I also appreciate IC staff who have worked together with me to see that this has worked well, and we see that we have a great future together, and we look forward to seeing that this kind of work will continue, and we are going to ensure that we have a follow-up of the same with all the participants to see that all the learning that they have gotten, maybe they are able to apply it. Thank you so much.